How you guys doing? I decided to go live again today because I am on a kick for this Halloween special I have going on for filmmakers one-on-one strategy session and for my profitable filmmakers challenge. And so I wanted to talk today about some of the reasons why filmmakers struggle to get an investor. But before I do, I realized, I just launched this channel not too long ago. Well, I started to launch it like a year ago. I'm looking at my notes. I started to launch it like a year ago, and then life happened. And so had to put it on pause. And so I've been going a little bit more this year with the channel and really trying to build it up. And I realized I haven't really done a formal introduction and kind of talked about myself at all. So I want to do that and explain why I'm talking more about money and financing and the business side of filmmaking than when I initially launched the channel. And I was mostly just talking about the creative side. And so, if you don't know who I am Londi Maduro. I am a writer, director, and film producer based in Southern California. I have a 501c3 called Women of Color Filmmakers. So, it's a nonprofit where I help women of color who are pursuing careers in film and television with skill building and networking so that they can be able to make cinematic films. So that's kind of where I started. And I actually started as a photographer. Let me back up. I started as an actress and a model. And then I wasn't happy with the roles that an actress and a model. Yeah, I started as an actress and a model. Sorry, guys. Clearly, I don't do lives a lot. I started as an actress and a model, and I did not like auditioning as an actress. So that is definitely counterintuitive to trying to get an acting role. And I also didn't like the roles I was being called in for. I was always like the prostitute, the wayward mom, like just ghetto stuff. And I'm like, that is not who I am. So I wasn't loving the audition process. As a model, didn't love trying to maintain a size zero, and really was frustrated to what was available for me as an actress and a model. So I decided to go to school for photography. And of course, when you're a model slash actress turned photographer, you're doing headshots for all your friends. So I started doing that. And then from there, I, didn't like how I was treated as a photographer. It is a male dominated space. So I was often questioned about my skill set. Even when I would take my camera into the shop, I was questioned about, is that what's really wrong with your camera, if I needed some repairs and things like that. And so I wanted to change that landscape, right? That's why I started Women of Color Filmmakers. I'm definitely a person that if I see a need, I'm going to be the change I want to see. And so I wanted to be able to hone my craft, create, and not feel like I was being subjected to fit into a box. And so that's why I do the things that I do. That's why I started Women of Color Filmmakers. And why I started teaching filmmaking is because I was tired of seeing indie filmmakers who really could make something cinematic, not make something that looks cinematic, mainly because they didn't have the skill set, or they were told, oh, if you just use your phone, you can make something amazing. But that is a skill. You can't just pick up a phone and make a cinematic movie. You must understand the craft of filmmaking. And so as I started teaching those things and my students were making dynamic movies, even as first-time filmmakers, I realized, okay, now I've helped them make these awesome films, but now they don't know how to make money with these films, or they're trying to get distribution and they don't know what to do after they've done the film festival circuit, or they're struggling to get an investor to invest in their feature now that they've made this quality short. And so I launched Blue Child Academy as a means to help filmmakers learn both the business side and the creative side of filmmaking, so you can make something cinematic and you can make income with it. And that was my purpose and the reason why I wanted to do that. And now I've really been focusing these past few months on the business side, because now I'm realizing filmmakers have to be educated as to why this is a necessity. So many filmmakers that I talk to really don't want to learn the business side of filmmaking. They just want to be a creative. They just want to hopefully make money with their films, but they're hoping that they can hire someone to do these things. And unfortunately, that's not how this works effectively. And so I wanted to be able to support filmmakers on this journey and show them that this doesn't have to be a daunting task. You can make money as a filmmaker, but you are going to have to learn a few things because the industry is rapidly changing. And so today we are focusing on what it takes to attract an investor, because that's the other area that I feel like filmmakers don't really understand. No's sometimes are commas, they're not periods, but in order for it to be a comma and not a period, you must understand what you got to do to get an investor excited about your project. So today we're going to go through the top 10 reasons why filmmakers don't get an investor interested, and some things you can do to get them interested. So the first reason I see a lot of filmmakers don't get their films funded is they don't have a clear business plan. So most indie filmmakers, they focus heavily on the creative, right? We're so busy trying to make it look beautiful and make sure it looks cinematic and get our angles and really focused on getting the best performance out of our actors that they neglect the business strategy. And investors want to know their money is being well spent, right? They want to know that they're going to get a return on their investment. They're not just giving you this money just to be giving you money. They want to, if someone invests in something, they want to get their money back. And so it's really important that as a filmmaker, you have a clear revenue path when you're speaking to a potential investor, or even if you are speaking to a distributor, like I was talking about the other day. You have to have a strategy. No one's going to just give you money because you're cute and talented, right? They want to know how they're going to get their money back. And so you have to have when I say a strategy, you have to have a plan as to how you're going to get their money back to them, right? What steps are you going to take? And that's often just beyond just getting distribution with the film and getting it picked up on a platform. What else are you going to do to ensure that you can return these funds to the person who gave them to you, right? So most filmmakers don't even think about that, or they think about that very late in the game, like after they've already made the film. But that's something that you've got to know if you want to get the film funded before you even start. So you have to develop a detailed business plan that includes production costs, which we pretty much know, right? You got to have an itemized budget usually if you're going to seek an investor. Revenue projections. What are the different ways you're going to get revenue, right? And how do you project that happening? What is the ROI? And they also want to know your marketing and distribution strategy. How are you going to reach your target audience? How are you going to market to them? You need to know this information, right? That you need to be able to relay that in a business plan to a potential investor. The other thing that I see filmmakers struggle with is lack of financial transparency. So investors want to feel confident that their money is being managed wisely. If you can't answer basic financial questions or don't have a solid budget breakdown, it is a red flag. Yes, 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 it's a red flag. So I actually had a student who I'm so proud of. She was able to pitch her film to a potential investor, and they hit her with a lot of business questions. They asked her what was the unique value proposition for her film. They wanted to know what were her revenue projections, what was her budget breakdown. They wanted to know what her marketing was. Like, they had everything that I just mentioned. They were hitting her right and left with those questions, even though a lot of it was in her business plan that she gave to them and her executive summary, which an executive summary is like a one sheet of your business plan, right? So even though that information was in there, they were asking her those questions because they wanted to know, does the filmmaker know these things? Is she knowledgeable on the business aspects of her film? And man, I was so proud of her because she was giving it back to them right and left. And she got the funding. She's getting the funding for her film. Of course, they're still going through all the negotiation process in regards to getting the actual funder, but she's getting the funding. They are actively engaged in funding her film, and it is not a low budget film. And so these are the kind of things it takes when you want to get funded. You have to be able to answer these things, and you cannot, just focus on the creative, because to be honest with you, they could care less about the creative. A true business investor does not care about the creative. And I know I said this the other day, but I can't stress it enough, because as creatives, right, we want everything to be rainbow and butterflies. And I'm talking about myself. I am a creative too, right? So I want it to be beautiful, and imagine, and just imagine all these lovely things. And, 2 plus 2 can equal 10 if I hope and dream and pray, right? But that's not how it works in real life, right? 2 plus 2 must equal 4. I don't care how much you hope and pray and dream on it. That is the truth. And that's kind of the same when it comes to getting your film financed. I get that you want to, just enjoy the fun parts and the creative parts of it, but you got to get this business stuff down. That is why I teach these things. And if you're feeling lost or feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, or am I messing up when it comes to trying to pitch my film, or maybe you've got a pitch meeting coming up, or there's someone you want to approach about potentially investing or partnering with you on your film, then if you need some support with that, I highly recommend that you take advantage of the Halloween special I have going on right now. Go to londymaduro.com and sign up for the one-on-one strategy session. And that's where we kind of look at what you have, right, based on your summary of your film or your pitch deck if you have one, and look at what it is that you need in order to be able to pitch your film to a potential investor, or even a distributor for that matter. So that special is going on right now for Halloween. It's only $97 to get this one-on-one. Trust me, I do not charge $97 for a one-on-one consultation, but I'm just doing that for Halloween. And with that happening, if you book a one-on-one strategy session, then you can get a discount on my Profitable Filmmakers Challenge that's happening in November. So that's November 17th to the 21st. It's a 5-day challenge where we'll walk you through step by step some of these things to make sure that your film is ready and packaged properly to get distribution, to get investors, and for you to start making money off your film. It's called the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge because I want you to make money from your films. So you get a discount on that. If you sign up for the Halloween special, the one-on-one strategy session is pretty much a bundle. And so you get the one-on-one strategy session for $97, and then you can do the general admission for the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge for just $65. Or you can upgrade to VIP experience and get hot seat coaching. So every day when you get homework, we can go over it and see how things are applying to your film. And that is an hour before the actual general admission joins the meeting. So something to think about. If you're struggling with these things I'm talking about today, then you definitely want to sign up for this and take advantage of it. These are not prices that I normally charge, but I'm just wanting to support filmmakers and help them through this process so that they're not struggling to figure these things out, or just, so stuck in your creative brain that you're not even looking at some of the practical things you can do to ensure that you get an investor for your film. All right, so we talked about not having a clear business plan, right? We talked about lack of financial transparency, so not having your itemized budget, not having realistic contingencies. Yes, 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 I did not mention that. You need to have what's called a break-even analysis. Oftentimes when you're pitching to an investor, they want to know what it would cost to break even, right? So you'll have your budget, the total amount it's going to cost to make your film. And in that, you need to include your marketing and all that stuff. So if you're planning to do film festivals, if you've got some traveling that you need to do to promote the film, all that needs to be included in that itemized budget, right? So you have your budget. Then you have how much money your film needs to make to break even. So that's where you're looking at, okay, if your film is $250,000 to make, right? Then to break even, you have to make at least $250,000, which that's not, at least you don't owe nobody any money, but that's what you would have to make, right? But we want to know, okay, what if you have, if you make a little more than that, right? What would it take to make $300,000 on your film? And that's where having things like I talked about the other day, ancillary products, or things like that come in. When you have multiple revenue streams, you're not just, basing everything on just getting distribution. So you could list in your break-even analysis that you have some products, digital products that you're selling, and you have some tangible physical products, maybe some merch or something, and you anticipate that those products are going to bring in, let's say, $50,000, right? So your break even is 250, but your ancillary products should bring in an additional 50,000, and you're estimating that, but you're estimating that based on fact. So you're going to go through and look at, okay, what would it take to sell $50,000 worth of your ancillary products? What do you need to do to make that happen? That's where we go back to the marketing strategy. And I know this feels like a lot, but stay with me, stay with me. So now you can show your potential investor that, look, we can do, just a little bit above average, or about average actually. So break even is just break even. Average is when you make about, maybe say, uh, 10 to 20% more than what you need to break even, right? Or hopefully you can make more than that. But if you say you stay within that, you're just doing a little better than breaking even. So you got a little money you were able to put in your pocket, and you're able to pay everybody back, but you didn't make this surplus of money, right? And then of course it's the above average, which everyone wants, where you paid 250,000 to make your film, but your film made $1 million, or your film made $800,000, right? Between your ancillary products, between your maybe non-traditional licensing of your film, non-traditional distribution, and then also distribution, your film made $800,000. Of course, that's the dream, right? Or more, the 800,000 or more. So you want to be able to give your investor this break even analysis that shows them, this is how much we need to get break even, and this is how we're going to do it, right? So you're not just throwing numbers out there. It's, this is how much we need, and this is the different ways we're going to make money to get to this number. And then if we can get to average or a little higher, this is how much of each product that we have, right? The film is a product, your ancillary products, and any other distribution or licensing, that's how much we're going to make on these things to be a little above break even, right? To be average. And then our goal, of course, is to do these numbers for each of these products, each of these revenue streams, to be above average. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but these are the kind of ways you have to think, though, to make sure that your investors are happy and that you can show them, look, I'm not just coming to you as a creative wanting to make some money off of my film. I actually have a plan and a strategy. That's what we talk about when we're saying having a a revenue projection strategy, a break-even analysis. These are business terms, but they're very important as a creative that you have these things. And these are the kind of things we teach at Blue Child Academy, at my online film school, and also some of the things we'll be touching on in the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge next month. That's coming up November 17th and 21st. So if you're struggling with this, no, you don't have to figure all these things out by yourself. I get it. This is not your wheelhouse. This is not what you want to do. But if you need some support in doing these things, we have the programs and resources to help you do it. All right, so let's keep going through the list. So we talked about not having a clear business plan, lack of financial strategy, no defined target audience. Oh my goodness. This is probably the most common one that I see with my students when they first come to me. I actually had a consultation with someone earlier today, and he had the same issue. It's, for some reason, when we hear target audience, we get very vague, or we're worried, well, I don't want to be, pigeonholed into my film only fitting this specific market. I don't want to be pigeonholed into my film, not reaching everybody. My film's for everybody. Well, nothing can be for everybody. No product is marketed to everybody. Okay. Products are marketed to a specific person who has a specific lifestyle. Okay. I don't even want to say a specific type of person, a specific person with a specific lifestyle. And your film is a product, and it needs to be targeted to a specific person. So I teach my students to create an avatar for their target audience. Don't just say, oh, it's a person between 25 and 35 who no specific race, no specific gender, just someone in that age category. It's a millennial, or it's a whatever the other generational things are, right? You got to know more than that. Okay. Because, and here's the reason why. People, just because someone's in a specific age category does not necessarily mean they're going to love that genre of film. Our perception of what we love and care about and get excited about is based on several things, right? Where we're raised, how we grew up, what our influences are, our culture, all those things. So you want to be very specific about who your target audience is so you know how to market to that person. You don't want to be guessing or just being general. Now, it's okay if you have a specific person, because I want you to know other people are going to join in. Just because you pick an avatar or pick a specific person, give it a persona, right? So if you pick, my person is going to be Keith, right? Keith is a 30-year-old male, based out of, I don't know, I'm from Washington State. So based in Washington State, he grew up, he's a military kid, right? He's a military brat. And he loves to play basketball. He loves Starbucks. He loves, motorcycles, and he loves action movies, right? And my movie happens to be an action thriller. So I know how to market to him. I understand where he likes to hang out, right? I understand what gets him excited. He likes motorcycles. So things geared to motorcycles get him hyped. Being a military brat, I understand, military brats, they probably moved around a lot, grew up all over. So his interests could be a little more eclectic. I understand how to market to that person. Now, it doesn't mean by picking him, like I said, other people won't show interest, but being that specific, having that much specificity allows me to market to him in a way that will get him interested. Right. And so you have to think of your film like that. Big brands do not market to everybody, they market to a specific audience persona, and then everyone else jumps on board. Right. But when you don't have a defined audience, investors can't see how you're going to sell your film, right? And if they can't see how you're going to sell your film, that gets them worried. They get concerned that this is going to be a waste of their money and time. So you have to identify your core audience and be specifics. You've got to know their demographics, their viewing habits, right? So where do they like to watch movies? Where do they hang out, right? Because somebody who's 30, in their 30s to 40s is probably more on Facebook and Instagram than TikTok. And someone in their early 20s or 20s to 30s is probably on TikTok. So you have to know these things, and know how you're going to market to them. Build your marketing and distribution strategy around your audience persona, that specific person. That's who you're going to build your whole marketing campaign around. So be as specific as possible so you can market directly to them. Okay, so no target audience we talked about. So let's go back through. We talked about no clear business plan, lack of financial transparency, no defined target audience. And now we're going to jump into weak marketing and distribution strategy. Oh my goodness, this is so true. Even great films fail without an audience strategy. Investors want to know how your film will reach viewers. So you have to know this information. The filmmaker doesn't know how they'll get the film in front of paying audiences. If they don't, that makes investors nervous. So how are you getting your film out there, right? Especially if you don't have a distribution plan in place. So you can't say, oh, well, we plan to get it on streaming platforms. Yes, that's a wish, right? That's a hope. But have you engaged a distributor yet before you talk to your investor about your film to see if that's a possibility? Hopefully it will get on there, but then have you even thought about what's the right streaming platform for your film? Because different films do well on different streaming platforms, right? You're not going to put your action thriller that's super gory on Lifetime, right? Whereas you might do well on Peacock. So you've got to understand what's the best place for your film, right? And even if you don't have it locked in yet and you're seeking out an investor or have a potential meeting with an investor, you can say to them, look, we plan to put our film on streaming platforms, and these are the specific streaming platforms we're targeting because we have done the research to know that our target audience likes to watch things on this platform, right? So you've got to know that information about your people, about your target audience. And so not having a clear idea of how you're going to get people to pay to watch your movie. Are you doing a limited theatrical release? Will your audience go to the theater and watch a film like this, of this caliber? You have to know that information. So you have to include potential distributor platforms, right? How are you going to distribute it? What platforms? Are you going for Peacock? Are you hoping for something? Are you going to self distribute through Film Hub and hope that you can get it on Amazon Prime? What is your plan for this? And what channels, right? So that's what I was just talking about. What channels? What social media partnerships and email lists do you already have cultivated? So have you built up your social media following? Do you have a fan base who's already excited about anything you drop in regards to your film or your brand in general? And have you formed partnerships? Are you intending to do that? And it's okay. I feel like for some of this, it's okay if it's not all set yet, but at least you have a plan of attack that you can share with your investors. These are the things we're cultivating right now, and they're not, you don't have to tell them not all set, but this is our intention. We're looking at this, we're looking at this, we're looking at this. That's what makes them feel comfortable. The fact that you actually have a plan that you can articulate versus just, and I've seen this and it's so scary to me. Just, you talk to an investor, you're just like, well, we're hoping to get on a platform, and we're hoping, to do some self distribution. I wouldn't invest in that. I'd be like, you're hoping first of all, you don't even sound confident about what you want to do, right? If you can't answer the investors' questions, that's nerve wracking. So the more that you can come up with a plan to make sure that these things happen, making sure you know who your target audience is, the more confident an investor will be in putting their hard-earned cash into your baby, your creative project. Okay. So if you're struggling with any of this, like I said, if you're like, oh man, this is a lot, I don't know how to even start to cultivate all of this stuff that you're talking about, Londi, then definitely sign up for my Halloween special. $97 for a one-on-one strategy session. It's available until December, excuse me, I keep saying that, October 31st. Available until October 31st at midnight. You get a one-on-one strategy session for $97. And even if you're not ready for one-on-one just yet, or if you're seeing this after October 31st, sign up for the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge. In the challenge, it's a 5-day challenge where every day we'll be walking through some of these things to help you prep your film for both distribution and to make money, right? So it's Profitable Filmmakers. So to make money, get you in line for distribution, and potential investors. Like if you are already making money with your film and you've got some revenue flowing, those investors will be happy because they know that you understand business. Your distributor will be happy because you give them more negotiating power when they reach out to potential streaming platforms and places where they want to put your film. So all of this is a win-win. It's a win-win for you. It's a win-win for an investor. It's a win-win for you to get distribution. So that's why I keep talking about these things, because I want to see you win. And if you're struggling with any of this, again, you can sign up for the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge. The link will be in the show notes. If you go to londimaduro.com, click classes and workshops, or like I said, you can take advantage of the Halloween special I have going on right now. So you can get a one-on-one strategy session for $97, and then you can add the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge for just $65 at general admission, or upgrade to VIP experience and get the help you need. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So number 5, lack of proof of concept. Investors prefer to back filmmakers who have a proven track record, or at least proof the idea works. The filmmaker is asking for money without evidence of traction. So let me explain this a little bit, because I feel like this trips up people a lot. So a lot of times when we hear proof of concept, right, you're just thinking about the proof of concept like a short, right? We're thinking, oh, I've got a show that this is a good movie idea, so I'm going to shoot a short. And there's nothing wrong with shooting a short. A short is a form of a proof of concept. But the other thing that works as proof of concept as well is showing that you know what you're actually doing, right? So, yes, you want to have a strong pitch deck. I think that's super important. A strong trailer, yes, or a lookbook that really shows the visuals of your film. But you also need to show that you can handle the money you're asking for, right? That this isn't your first time at the rodeo, and that you are able to handle the amount of money you're asking for. Now, if this is your first time you're getting an investor, maybe you've only done small micro budget films that you are able to shoot with you and your homies, and there's nothing wrong with that. But know that if you're now going to ask for higher amounts of money, especially films that are getting into the millions, even if it's $1 or $2 million, you have to show that you can handle that kind of money. And you do that by bringing on people who actually have those credits. That's part of your proof of concept. So if you don't have the credits to show I've worked on films of this financial means, then bring in a producer, an executive producer, someone who has, because the likelihood of someone giving you $1 million when you've never handled $1 million is very slim. Okay, I hate to tell anybody anything's impossible, but it's slim because this is a high risk investment, right? Filmmaking is a high risk investment in general, but you're an even higher risk because you have no proof that you know how to handle that amount of money. So proof of concept isn't just having that short film or an awesome trailer to show that, look, this concept, it's catchy, it's awesome, it's vibrant, people are going to want to see it. You also have to prove that you are capable of handling higher budget projects if this is your first time doing it. Now, if you've got a track record, if you've done several projects, got distribution for other projects, and you're slowly upping the ante, right? So let's say you've done films for 250,000, 350,000, and now you're asking for 800,000. That helps with proof of concept, right? Because you can show, look, I've got investors before, I've made a film before, we've completed the film, because that's the other thing. If they give you money, they want to know you are capable of completing the film. We've completed the film. This is where you can watch the film, and my investors were happy because they got paid back. That's another form of proof of concept. But if you're totally green and you don't have any of that, then get some people on your team who do have those credits, because that will help ensure that you actually get the funding. Okay. All right. Poor presentation, poor pitch deck presentation. Yes, yes, yes. A great idea can fall flat if the pitch feels disorganized or too artsy without the business angle. The filmmaker leads with passion, but loses the investor with jargon and vagueness. Oh my goodness. This is probably the one I see the most. So, something else that I do, which I don't think I mentioned earlier, I consult for a film finance company. So, I'm more on the creative side. I kind of review the scripts and kind of give my feedback on if I feel the scripts are ready for production. And I would say I usually get the decks too. And I would say this is probably the biggest thing I see, where filmmakers are putting all this beautiful, whimsical things in their decks, but they don't have the business stuff in there. They're telling their director statement and their artistic vision. Business people don't care about that, right? And I think I mentioned this the other day, but you want to make sure that you understand how to tailor your deck depending on who you're pitching to. So if you're pitching to a potential business investor, take those things out. They could care less. They are solely focused on, are you going to get them a return on their investment, right? They want to see the numbers. And so get rid of that artistic jargon, all that beautiful visionary stuff. They don't care about it. So making sure you craft a short, confident pitch that communicates your story. So you do need your log line, your synopsis, so we can understand what the film's about. But then your business case is clearly stated, and that it is short and concise, right? We don't need a whole bunch of fluffy words. We need to make sure that it is concise. This is the newest, hottest, latest thing. That doesn't make anyone excited, right? There is nothing like this ever made. That makes them even more nervous because they have nothing to compare it to. So making sure you have clear comps, right? So you're listing films that are comparable to yours. And when I say comparable, this is another thing I see. let's say you're doing a film that, you don't have any names. It's a romantic comedy, and you're saying your comps are things with big names in them, right? So let's say you're doing a girls buddy movie, and you don't have any names, but you're listing things like Girls Trip and The Other Woman, and I'm like, those are movies that have big name celebrities in them, right? So if you have no names in yours, and even if the story is comparable, right, the style of storytelling, it's funny, it's about female friendship, all that stuff, right? But that's not comparable to those films, because that star power that they have in those films already gives them leverage for theatrical release, for distribution, and a built-in audience who wants to see those celebrities in stuff. So your film with no celebrities is not comparable to that. You have to find films that are truly comparable. Do not pick films that had Guga budgets, right? Multi-million dollar budgets, when you're doing a small indie film that's under $1 million or 500,000. Again, not your comp. So you really want to make sure it's comparable in actor level, right? So your actors are at the same level as the actors that you are stating is in the film that's comparable to yours. Story, right? So you, most of the time people get that part right. And the potential for it to make money, right? So you don't want to pick a film that made almost $1 billion and had an all-star cast. The likelihood of your film doing that when you don't have those things, again, is slim. With a huge theatrical release, not comparable to your film. So really looking at everything. And if you're lost on, okay, well, how do I do that? How do I find out that information? There's a great website called thenumbers.com. I will put it in the story notes. Thenumbers.com, where it can give you information in regards to films that actually had theatrical releases. You can see the budget, you can see how much it made domestically, foreign, and how long it was in theaters, all that good stuff, right? So the numbers is a great website. IMDb Pro too can help, but I feel like the numbers sometimes is better. Now, if your film just went to streaming, the film that you're using as comps, and your film is just going to streaming, it does make it a little harder, because that information isn't always readily available, but you can still look and see, usually either on IMDb Pro, sometimes they'll have the budget on there. But do some research. Don't just pick things because you liked it and you're saying that's what your movie's like. Do your research. Try to find as much information as you can on how that film did, so that you can put that correctly in your deck. Because I've seen films get dinged because of that. So making sure that you're really understanding how to do an adequate pitch deck when you're getting ready to pitch to an investor. And again, if all these things I'm saying to you feel foreign, we're going to be covering a lot of this in the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge that we have coming up next month, November 17th through the 21st. So definitely able to help you with some of this. Okay, lack of credibility or team experience, that I was just talking about. If you film investors invest in people as much as projects, so the filmmaker has no experience, crew, or advisors attached. Yes, yes, yes. So I just mentioned that as part of your proof of concept, right? That, to me, that's also a proof of concept that you can prove you've done this before. But like I said, if you have never done it before, get some people who have on your team. Get some credible crew members, right? And even if it's an advisor, get credible film crew members on your team who have handled the level of budget you're requesting from an investor. Build a team that fills your gaps. So if it's either a producer, line producer, or advisor with experience in distribution and financing, that looks really sexy. If you can get in, say, you know what? Yes, I know I'm new to the game, but this is who I got on my team, right? That'll back me. I've got advisors with experience in distribution. The last few films that they got distribution with did this amount of money. That looks sexy to an investor if you're new to the game, because they know, okay, yeah, they may be new, but they're about their business. And I've seen filmmakers who have great, strong business plans and poor scripts get the distribution or get the financing. I've seen it happen time and time again because the investor feels like this: I can hire someone to fix the script and just put story by the filmmaker. But I know that I'll be good to go because this filmmaker understands what is necessary to make their film and to make money from it. So I'm going to put my money on this person and we'll fix the creative part. That's usually how they feel about that. The creative part can be fixed. The business part, if they got to fight with you to just get you to understand why financially these things need to be in place, they're not going to waste their time doing that. So the more that you can get credible people on your team that can handle that for you or help you with that, the better and stronger it looks to an investor. All right. The next thing I would say, number 8, unrealistic expectations. Yes. Sometimes filmmakers overstate the potential profit or underestimate the timeline. Investors can sense when projects are inflated or naive. Use use conservative. No, I can't even read my own notes. Use conservative numbers and show multiple revenue streams. So that's what I've been talking about, right? So again, if this is a person who invests in film projects quite often and they're really in tune with the market, maybe they read the trades, they know what streaming platforms are paying for projects right now, probably even better than you if you're reaching out to someone like that or a film finance company that does this on the regular. So you don't want to be stating your movie is going to make $600,000 on a streaming platform and you haven't done any research to see if that's even possible because they're not paying what they used to. A lot of streaming platforms have reduced significantly what they're paying for projects because they're producing their own original content. So be careful of just blankly stating or blindly stating, rather, I don't know, blanketly, blindly stating how much it can make on a streaming platform if you haven't done that research. Because, like I said, people who invest, film finance companies that invest in films, they know those numbers. Make sure you're doing your research. And if you're finding that, oh my gosh, if I take this money, the streaming platforms aren't even paying close to what I would have to pay back for taking this money, then you need to have other revenue strategies in place. How else can you make money with that film other than the streaming platform? You need to be able to articulate that. That goes back to that break even analysis I was just talking about, where you can show these are the different ways my film can make money outside of just having it on a streaming platform or having a screening. Are there special events you can have? Are you selling products? This is super important. And so you have to have realistic expectations and have that clear revenue strategy that you can share with the potential investor so that they know how to get their money back, right? And if you're struggling with this stuff, like I said, if it's not making sense or if you're feeling overwhelmed, because I know that's what I get a lot. Oh my gosh, Lundy, this is overwhelming. I get it. I know it's a lot, but bite size, right? We do this bite size. No one is telling you to take all these things on at once. I'm just laying out to you some of the things that you need to consider when you're going to an investor. I'm not saying it needs to be all done at the same time. We do it in steps. And that's why I'm here to help you through this process if you're feeling overwhelmed or stuck or struggling with it. You don't have to do it by yourself. I want to help support you through this because I want to see you win. I know I say this all the time, but man, lately I've been working with students who have the most amazing film projects that could really build major brands for them. And once we start to unlock those closed areas where they're only thinking small, just about the beauty of the creative project, the potential is just awesome. I can't wait to see what they create because we're just getting started. But I'm telling you, when you think like this, it gets you the funding, it gets you the money, it gets you the distribution. All right. So unrealistic expectations. The other thing in unrealistic expectations, I do want to say that I see quite often is you're asking for $8 million, but your time frame, that's what we're talking about, the time frame. You're asking for $8 million, but your time frame is 4 months. Right? So, and I actually had this happen to me where someone produced me to produce, they not produce me, they contacted me, or help me, they contacted me to be a producer on their project, right? And so let's say, I can't remember the months exactly, but let's say they contacted me in January And, I had questions. Okay, where are you in the process of fundraising, right? Because I was coming on as a creative producer, but I still wanted to know that they had things in line. What is your budget? Where are you at with the fundraising? And all that good stuff. What have you done before at that price point? So those are my first three questions. And let's say, like I said, they engaged me in like January. They had a $4 million budget. They'd only done a short before. They've never done anything in that price point. And they had no money raised so far, and they wanted to start shooting in April. This is an unrealistic expectation. Unless you got a rich uncle or auntie somewhere or a billionaire cousin, the likelihood of you raising $4 million in 3 months, again, maybe you big content creator or something, but it's very unlikely that that can happen. I, again, don't want to tell nobody it's impossible, but the likelihood is very slim. So I respectively declined. I was just like, you guys have some work to do, and I gave them some tips and some ideas. They had no one on their team who had ever handled that much money. I was like, you need to do this work before I'm willing to come on, because that showed me that they were not on the level yet to make a movie like that. And I just didn't want to have to do the work that was needed, to be honest. The level of work that I would have had to do to help them on that process was just way too much. So make sure when you step to people, you have realistic expectations. Do your homework. So you're not just asking for stuff, but you really understand what it's going to take to execute and make your film at the level of money that you're asking for. Okay. All right, number 9, no relationship or trust building. Investors rarely write checks after one meeting. They invest in relationships, not cold pitches. The filmmaker focus on the ask instead of building a rapport. Yes, yes, yes. You've got to make sure you're engaging. Nobody wants to just ask for something. If you think about it, if a stranger just walked up to you on the street and said, hey, could you give me $500,000 to make my film? It's really good. It's about this and this and this, and oh, and there's this scene and this scene, and audiences are gonna love when this happens and this happens. Da, 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 da. So, what do you think? Can you give me $500,000? I don't know anybody who's gonna be like, "Oh my God, yes, I got you." Right? They're gonna be like, "Oh, well, that sounds nice. Good luck with that." No, I'm not able to do that, but I wish you all the best, right? And that's if they're nice, if they're a nice person. So you have to start to engage your potential investor, right? Don't just think because you sent them a pitch deck that they're just going to be like, yep, I'm on the bandwagon, right? Get to know them. Learn to confidently present your ask with specific terms and focus on investors whose interests align with yours, with your film genre and message, right? Sometimes if you start with a gift or giving them a compliment on maybe another project that they invested in that you absolutely enjoyed, or maybe learning what they love. If they love, I don't know, tequila, could you present to them, hey, here's my pitch deck, but I also wanted to just say thank you for taking this meeting. I love the work that you do. I've watched this project and this project that you did, and I thought it was amazing. And I just want to say a little small token of my appreciation for us just even taking a moment to get to know each other. I heard you like this type of tequila, so I wanted to give you just this little special gift. Getting gifts always is a win. Okay, doing something nice, even after the meeting, right? Sending them a little gift. You know what, whether this works out or not, right? Even if it doesn't work out, give them a gift. Just say to them, you know what, thank you so much for taking this meeting. I heard you enjoyed caramel popcorn, so I got you some from this amazing little gourmet popcorn boutique. I hope you love it. And just wrap it real nice. And sometimes it's not even the cost of the gift, it's the effort that you put into it, right? So doing little things to start to cultivate relationships. Do they have children? Don't just hit them up with stuff. Learn about them. Do they have kids? Do they like sports? What do they like? And if you wonder what I like wine. Just FYI, I thought I'd throw that out there. But starting to understand what they like and how you can let them know that you care about them outside of just asking them for something can definitely make the difference. Whether this deal works out or not, again, remember, sometimes no's are commas because you're not ready or something's not right. But later, you could end up working with that person again, and you've already start to set that rapport. You started to develop that rapport, and that's definitely happened with me. One of the biggest companies that helped me get my documentary out to license it all over, right, for educational purposes, they said no to me 3 times, 3 or 4 times before I finally got a yes, right? And I was okay with that because I understood they didn't know me from Adam. I'm just this person saying, hey, I did this documentary on prostate cancer. Can you screen it for me? They're like, who are you? No, but good luck, right? But as they started hearing more and more about me, right? As I started going on platforms and talking about prostate cancer and going on podcasts and talking about prostate cancer and having screenings at this little church and this place and inviting them to all of it, eventually they were like, okay, this person is serious and they're about their business. And let's see if we can work together. It works the same if you're trying to get an investor or a distributor. Keep engaging, keep reaching out, keep cultivating the relationship. You have no idea what door can open for you when you actually take the time and effort to cultivate a relationship with a potential investor or distributor on a real level, not just because you want something, but because you want to get to know them as a person. Because that's the other thing. You want to make sure that this is a person that you want to get in bed with, right? You want to make sure that you are picking an investor that you can tolerate and that they can tolerate you throughout the filmmaking process. Because sometimes you'll get an investor who's going to make your life an absolute hell, right? They're going to be on set every day asking you questions, harassing you when you're trying to focus and get things done, especially if you're like the director of your film, right? And you may not want that. You don't may not want that level of engagement. But some people, if they're giving you their money, they plan to see how you're allocating that money. So you want to make sure that you're picking someone. Not don't just get excited and take their money, that you're actually picking someone that you can tolerate being around for the life of the film. And that's why it's super important that you start to build the relationships. Okay, I went on a tangent. Last one, number 10. Filmmakers don't know how to ask for money. Some filmmakers simply don't know how to ask with confidence, or they ask the wrong people. They have fear, lack of clarity, or targeting the wrong investor. Like I said, you want to make sure you're targeting the right investor. Learn to confidently present your ask with specific terms and focus on investors whose interests align with your film genre or message, or even align with who you are as a filmmaker, right? So don't just go with an investor just because they're like, you know what, I like this, I'm gonna give you the money. Make sure, like I said, this is a person you want to get in bed with because you're going to be dealing with them for quite some time, right? Ask with confidence. And honestly, the number one thing I hear from my students about pitching to a potential investor or even a distributor is that they're not confident. But confidence comes from having these things in place. Confidence comes from understanding your itemized budget, for understanding your revenue streams, for having a clear break-even analysis, for understanding the business. Because when you're hit with the questions, you can answer them from an educated place and not, as I like to say, Forrest Gump your way through the answers, right? You don't want Forrest Gump your way through the answers. Yes, Forrest became successful by the way he just maneuvered, but you want to speak with confidence. And confident people, I've seen it time and time again, they get the dollar. When you're confident, again, movie may not be tight, script may not be tight, but you came with the confidence of a wayward president. Probably shouldn't have said that, but you know what I mean? When you come with that kind of confidence, people say yes to you. It is so interesting. But when you come sounding uncertain, like you're not sure yourself, they're not sure about you. So get yourself educated on these things. Make sure you understand your revenue projections and how your film can make money at the different levels that it can. Make sure you understand what it's going to take to make your movie. Do your research. Make sure you understand, if you're trying to get on a streaming platform, what films make on those streaming platforms. Do your research. The more you can be prepared with the numbers, understanding your target audience and how to market to them and present these things to a potential investor, the more likely it is for your film to get the investment. Okay. All right. I know I talked a lot. I went longer than I wanted to, but I want to just make sure that you're on the right track with your filmmaking goals and that you're setting yourself up for success when you're pitching to an investor. So, again, if you're feeling stuck on any of this, if you feel like, wow, that's a lot of information and I feel overwhelmed, like I said, we have these awesome things going on right now. Get into the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge, November 17th through the 21st. You can get that one-on-one strategy session. It's only $97 for a 1 hour one-on-one. And then you can get that discount to get into the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge. With when you book that one-on-one for $97, you can get into the Profitable Filmmakers Challenge for $65. And that's 5 days of information. 5 days, y'all. Or you can upgrade to VIP where you can get the hot seat coaching on your homework. Because I give homework because I don't want you to just come and be like, oh, that was good information. No, I want you to start applying the things that we're teaching in the challenge. So if you want support on that, get in the challenge. And if you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe. Let me know, if this was helpful to you, if there's any area you like for me to deep dive in more or explain a little better, because I feel like I threw a lot into this, what is it now? Almost an hour long video. Did not mean to talk that long, but I feel like I threw a lot in there. So if there's any area where you still feel stuck or unclear or just like more information, please comment and let me know. Because like I said, I want to be of support and I want to be helpful. And please subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your filmmaking friends to tell your filmmaking friends to tell their filmmaking friends. So this channel can really start to become robust and we're able to have a greater reach because I want to see you win. Okay. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And I'll be back within the next day or so. Like I said, we're doing this for the Halloween special. So I'm trying to hop on every day. My work schedule is crazy. I've been consulting with students and teaching and working on my own film projects. So it was a little hard for me to get on yesterday, but I'm happy I was able to get on today. And I hope you found this information helpful. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.